Peter.
Stacy, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
We can hear you. Lovely.
Hi, Stacy.
Hi.
Hey, it's Stace.
Hey.
We have to formally recommend the health insurance reduction to the board tonight
Yes,
because we
yes.
voted on, okay.
Yeah, because we never took action
Right.
in our budget.
Okay. What's that? Your balances.
Yeah, I'm ready whenever you are.
You're in charge of this one, not me.
Like it. Make it double header for you. All right, I guess I'm ready. All right, I'd like to call this meeting of the Madison Public School Board of Education Finance Committee meeting to order. It is 6:31. And we have, as always, an informative agenda for us. We're going to cover the 25-26 health insurance reduction. And then take a look at the 24-25 end of year balances. And with that said, I'd like to turn over to Dr. Cook or Stacy to discuss the approximately $375,000 in healthcare savings that will be that will reduce the budget by that amount. And
Yeah, so I'll start off and I'll ask Stacy to fill in any gaps or add any information that the committee needs. When we do our insurance renewal, as the board members know, we start very early on in the fall. We're looking at it throughout that time, and then we have to make a decision usually based on October numbers because we're using November. We're using that November timeframe for the budget and setting our budget. We looked at those numbers, used the consultant's recommendation, had a very good recommendation, a very low increase this year. After that time, and we, as we should, Stacy and Heather Dobson and the town side as well, look at the self-insurance numbers and the projections and how things are going, and on a month-by-month basis. But we received continued very good news, even better than we expected in I believe it was around January, early February. And so based on that, we were able to make further reductions to our budget. And so at the time, the board had already set their budget. The town first select woman and the board of selectmen had already approved the budget as well, but the board of finance was able to take advantage of that information and reduce the budget on both sides. So a reduction was made. As we know, our budget came down to 1.87%, and the towns came down as well. So it put us in a much better spot going through the process, and there was no impact to the budget or education students. Stacy, what did I miss anything?
No, that's pretty much it. Yeah, we were pleasantly surprised in January, so that was great news.
do we have any questions or comments concerning this? Okay, it is really good news, and I guess we'll need a motion to vote to move this up to the board for approval. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or none? Motion carries. All right, thank you. The second item is our 2024-2025 end of year balances. And we have a handout pertaining to that. I can give the net projected available funds, and then maybe Stacy, do you want to provide color or detail on this?
Yes, and I just want to let you know, the committee has both documents, the one that was part of the agenda, and then the one that's hot off the press is related to the excess cost that just
Okay.
came. So
Gotcha.
I know you were working on that. We received the information on the excess costs basically over the weekend, and so Stacy worked on that yesterday and today, and then that's why you have that document as well. So it's the latest up-to-date information.
So so our Net projected available would be 88,436 at this time for the end of the fiscal year, I believe. And then, we do have a table here detailing the available funds and then projected deficits and requests. Stacy, if you want to pick it up at any point, I mean, I could list it. It'll be available on the website, but I'll let you go ahead and talk about it.
Okay, the projection one,
Yeah.
correct, not the special, okay. Yeah, so at the top of the page, we, this, as you all know, this time every year, we go through all the balances. We, ask the schools to stop, ordering anything at the end of April so that we can try to give the Finance Committee and the Board of Ed good projections. That being said, we're still working on it. These numbers are very preliminary, but where we stand right now, it looks like we do have some positive balances. The first item on there is the HR, the staffing. As you all know, with, you know, the biggest piece of the budget, we do have some money left in there just for unknowns, people moving, staff moving, people on leave without pay. So right now, we're looking at a balance of about 230,000 in staffing salary accounts. And that includes a projection for substitutes. So I know we still have a few weeks left, so that number, you know, is fluent. It could change a little bit. The next line are benefits for employees, unemployment, insurance, pension, and that's about 18,000 to date. Third item, FICA Medi, that's the payroll taxes, and that pretty much correlates to the salaries. So if we're gonna have money left in the salaries, we'll have money left in the payroll taxes. What's the legal, as of right now, there's about 15,000, and I believe that is a special ed balance. We're still working to try to get our final legal bills for the general ed balance, so that number is pretty conservative right now. That I see that number potentially climbing for our next meeting. Not sure how much, but this is where we were as of last week for special ed. We're waiting for the general ed. Next item, the district reconfiguration. This, if you recall, last year we did budget for some of the movement, getting the library set up, getting ready for this upcoming September. And based on what we've done so far, it looks like we will have a balance of about $16,000 in that line item. And then the final line item that's included in the available funds are all the building miscellaneous balances. So like I said, we asked all the schools to stop a few weeks ago. Stuff will continue to dribble in, but at this point in time, looking at every single school, central office, we're looking at about 65,000 today. So that's the top section. Any questions on any of those items? Okay. I know Craig, you know a lot of these end of year requests better than I do. I kind of listen as we go along and grab all pieces from all of our meetings with the administrators, so I list them, but I can talk about the first few items. The athletics, we are showing a deficit. This has been a common theme. Our registration, our fund, where we pretty much pay to play, that has with less kids, but we still have to transport the same amount of buses we have to use. So we are finding a shortage in that fund, which I think will be a future conversation, as well as gate receipts. There aren't as many, I guess, people coming to support the games. Out of that fund, we have to pay for the officials and so that type of coverage. So we do have a shortage in that fund. So between the two of those funds, we're looking at a deficit of 50,000 this year that we would like to reallocate out of those projected available funds. Special ed. So I guess we can talk about the information we received over the weekend, if this is a good time. Is that
Perfect.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So we've been, you know, special ed is always an unknown. We've been watching it through the months, and it looks like as of right now, we're looking pretty good. I do not think there will be a need for any transfers into any of the special ed accounts, so that's good news. We still don't know final numbers for transportation. Literally, that goes through the end of June as far as getting all the invoices from Durham and everything. But as of right now, with our projections, we're looking like we should be fine. Um, as far as the excess cost reimbursement, when we originally budgeted for reimbursement from the state, we based it on a 66% reimbursement rate. As of right now, the state is telling us that we are getting 82.8%. So that was a huge increase in the percentage that we're getting back from the state. That being said, when we calculated our 66%, it was on a higher cost. Our total costs have gone down since. So rather than seeing a savings of 148,000 per the email from the state, that they said extra we were going to get, it actually equates to 66,000 of a favorable amount to the district based on what we're getting now compared to what we budgeted. So hopefully that makes sense. Any questions on that? It's a little confusing because it's kind of like we're chasing the bouncing ball as far as costs.
One other difficulty is the additional 40 million that was committed by the state. They're saying we'll have the check by June 30th. That's the only guarantee we have, is that we'll have it by June 30th. So we don't know exactly when that portion of the payment will come in, but we'll be tracking that. So thank you. Share that. I think it just adds to that story we always talk about, or how difficult it is for Stacy to close out books as you're waiting for revenue to come in, is you still have bills going out too. And I think that's one of the major challenges she faces every year this time.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, that 148 that they said that was part of the 40 million that was talked about. I just kind of wanted to clarify, to us, it means about 66,000, but yeah, we'll be waiting for it to come in. So anyway, special ed looks like we're in pretty good shape this year. And then the other two items that I could add a little bit to, and then Craig, if you want to chime in more on those, and then the other items, the upfit for the equipment for a new pickup truck, that is actually a CIP item. It is a truck that was in there that's due for replacement July 1st. But the upfit, the equipment was not included in the purchase price. So this was huge. If we can reallocate some of those funds towards this, that would get the truck up to where the facilities would like it to be, all the equipment, all the extras that go into a basic pickup truck. And then the next item is also, as you all know, the baseball field was a big item in CIP, and this is additional funds that we're looking to reallocate some balances to support the higher costs than we anticipated.
Yeah, so that we're waiting on a bit on that. It may not be funds we need, but we are just want to make sure, because that was something that was priced out a while ago. And there is an add alternate portion of that would add turf between the baseball field and the turf field at Daniel Hand that the football team uses. So as you know, so the fall we have practice going on everywhere, and that would really help them out in turf, another area for us to be able to have practices on. The other items are items that have kind of been on our list for a while. We just haven't been able to afford it or come up new. But we had a firm come in and look at the acoustics in the dining assembly hall that would add acoustical wall panels for that area, that I think would help out a lot when we have performances. You can hear echoing off the brick wall pretty well when it's empty, or even with the performances sometimes. So that would be helpful. The gym at Daniel Hand, the sound system is 20 years old and has failed us several times, and so they want to upgrade that to, you know, really just a plug and play system and not have to carry around speakers to do that. Light pole as well, 20 years old, looking to upgrade that. The newest team club at the high school is esports. So we had students interested for a while, but didn't have an advisor, but they found an advisor this year, and they need the equipment to be able to compete, and that would be hopefully at the CIAC level next year.
So what are esports? I'm sorry.
So it's basically video games, you know,
Okay.
so it could be, are you familiar with Mario Kart?
Oh,
Yeah. So it could be a game like Mario Kart or a football game, or but CIAC has that as a sport, so they can compete with other teams, and it's great, you know, it gives another group of students another outlet. Polson Health Office is desperately in need of a upgrade. And Brown School with some repairs and more painting. The Brown, the one piece we've never got to was windows. I know we talked about that last year, had it on the list, so we were looking at any remaining funds going towards starting with the cafeteria windows that are some are, you know, seals broken on them, not in the greatest of shape. So that would be a great move forward. And you know, some other items there, Brown sound for the stage, and then Jeffrey iPads for Steam. So those were the items we were looking at. We, as Stacy shared, we expect this number to fluctuate as we continue to move forward. And what is nice, of course, this year is we can, you know, the second year we'll have that 2% count to be able to carry over. So we'll definitely be under any remaining balance after these items would be under 2% for sure.
Yeah.
But we have that extra time to be able to sort through that.
So in this list right now, as it stands, we're not including this projected $66,000 of sped savings because it's a moving target.
It was this sheet actually went out to you on Friday.
Last week.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so we didn't know it in as well. It's still a moving target, I would say, because you know, until we get that check in hand, you know, I think we're in good shape. The state has made that commitment that we haven't. Many other districts, we're fortunate that this is, you know, going to get us into the positive. Some other districts are looking just to be able to close their books out. They're desperately in need of that money. Our special ed, you know, bills have been in a good place. You know, so we're fortunate.
Well, as always, I mean, thank you so much for the great planning and follow through on this, because to be able to deal with this much uncertainty and still come out positive is a real tribute. Any other questions that the committee wants to entertain?
I just want to echo that, Stacy, updates the administrators. They have access, you know, through Munis to real time to their accounts, but she is very good at keeping them up to date and flagging any concerns with me that, you know, maybe overrun or looking to overrun. You know, I think, like I said, with legal, I think our negotiations have gone, you know, smoother than we have maybe, or shorter and smooth. So we haven't had to overextend legal, and you know, that as well with special ed. I think Dr. Bategni does a great job working with families and coming to resolution, a positive resolution. So we're not looking at, you know, high legal bills in that area too. So again, something other districts I'm talking to are dealing with, you know, negative, pretty significant negatives in legal and special ed. So credit to her as well.
Yeah, and I only see, I mean, these numbers getting a little bit better for our next meeting in June. So I'll definitely continue to update. Like I said, the legal's an unknown. The special ed is looking pretty good. I just don't want to put a number out there until we get a few more weeks under our belt. So we'll have more fine-tuned numbers in June. but if we can endorse these items tonight, then we can move forward with line transfers for that, and then we could again look at it in June, and then I know in June, we look for a vote to kind of try to wrap up the end of the year with, Galen, the finance chair, and myself to move forward after that, so.
We can certainly endorse it, but are you looking for like a formal board recognition of this or just good enough out of committee?
I mean, historically, if you endorse it and we bring it to the board, these line item transfers will show up in the next board packet. So
Okay.
line item transfers will not be done unless they move forward, but I want to be able to move forward with them to the Board of Ed, if that's okay with you guys.
And then we talked about athletics, as Stacy said, the gate receipts aren't what they used to be, but also as well, the costs are much higher to run the events, you know, to have people work at them. Officials' rates have gone up, transportation has gone up. We'll talk about pay for participation later, but that has been impacted with less students per teams. So I think that's something we'll look to address in next budget year. We did good more 2 years ago, I think it was, that we added to athletics, but this year, and as well, we're looking at a couple co-op teams that may shift out of our requirement, because one of Chris's challenges with that area is he, you know, Madison, if we're the team that owns the co-op, we'll pay up front, and then we're collecting, you know, throughout. So sometimes those are negative accounts until we get paid. But this is a good projection in terms of where things stand. And then, as well as we know, you know, our athletic teams go pretty far into the state competitions. Usually have more transportation and games than most. So that's some of the cost. Great. Okay, Stacy's on top of that though.
Yeah.
Try.
Well, all right, I know we have at least one member of the public up there. Well, let's, so, I could mention it for the, committee reports, I could mention it, that we've approved it for the next, line item transfer of the next agenda. Next meeting. So,
Is that good for you, Stacy?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
all right, oh, good, thank you. Are there any public comments? All right, hearing none, let's go ahead and adjourn at 6:55.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah.